Coming up, we talk about the state of wearables in 2025.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Dear.
What?
A hair came out of nowhere there all of a sudden, just went into my mouth. Disgusting. Absolutely filth.
Hello.
Oh, yes. Hello. How are
Thank you.
I can't tell the difference between this show starting and us just talking as we do for hours on end before we do this thing.
The state of wearables. Mine are in a terrible state. I got into the taxi yesterday and I had them on top of my head, perched upon my quiff. You know, like the cool kids do.
Oh, have you got a... It's not is it a quiff or a quaff?
Well,
that's coffee, isn't it? Quaff.
Yes.
Anyway, whatever.
Quaffy.
Yeah.
Getting into the taxi.
Anybody out here want a coffee?
Oh,
the New Yorkers love when I do that. They love it.
Awful. Getting into the taxi, and of course forgot they were on top of my head and knocked them off onto the ground. And then the taxi tried to pull off before I could retrieve them from under the wheel.
Oh, wow.
I screamed, and lucky enough, it was fine. But they are getting a bit banged around now. That's the trouble, though, isn't it? You get this gorgeous, beautiful tech that you sort of worship, and I'm going to take such good care of you, and then you use them so often that, you know, inevitably, you bang them up and scuff them up a little bit.
Yeah, I just find walking into things is the thing that's going to break mine. So far, so good.
That. Oh.
Yeah, no, have you done that? Yeah, you must have done that.
No, I haven't.
Really?
No.
I'm amazed at you because you break everything.
I do. I have...
I'm talking about your face, mainly.
Yeah, no. I have bent down to pick something up and whack my face off the worktop, but luckily enough, I was wearing my glasses at that point, I think. I can't remember now.
Thankfully.
But no, they've survived.
Wow. Yeah, look, it's the way it goes, quite frankly, isn't it? You know, I saw someone had written in at some point, I think we've got this coming up, actually. Is this on one of our emails? We were talking about someone's got an idea of how to stop this from happening, how to stop you hurting yourself.
And it's a perfect idea, and an idea I've suggested to my partner, who soundly rejected the idea.
Oh?
I call it vanity, but she said no. I mean, I told her to get a bike helmet as well at one point, because the amount of time she bangs her head off the worktop is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what she's doing.
I think this is the message here. So I think it was John who sent this in. On how to avoid hurting your head. Here's what he had to say.
Happy New Year to you all. I just heard on today's podcast that people were running into something and actually broke their meta glasses, which was a shame.
Mm-hmm.
I have a cheap solution. I wear a golf hat around in the house and a baseball hat outside, and that prevents about 90% of my collisions.
Yeah.
Have a great day. This is John for the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Thank you, John. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. There you go.
It's absolutely right. That little beak of a baseball cap can save your life. And I've used them before, and yeah, exactly that. They are good. It's like a little white cane for your forehead. It's beautiful.
A white cane for your forehead. Goodness me. You get into the same marketing class I'm going to, because it sounds very similar.
Thank you, John. Anyway, with all that said and me taking us off down that tangent, we're not talking about actually the physical state of wearables.
No, we're not. We're not talking about that today. No, thank goodness. No, we're talking to Robert Scoble today. Now, you know this guy.
The Scobleizer.
Oh, stop this!
Yes,
this is all you keep saying
excited.
to me. I know.
The Scobe.
It's all you keep saying. Oh, the Scobleizer. The Scobleizer.
We've got the Scobleizer here.
That's not his nickname, is it? Are you just making that up?
No, that was the name of his blog. He's well known. The Scobe.
I don't doubt he's well known. I know he's well known, which is why I wanted him on the show. But I wasn't as aware of him as you are. So
I know, but he said
excited.
yes. That's why I'm shocked.
Did I tell you the story of a friend of mine once? He interviewed who he thought was Gloria Estefan, and it turned out that he was actually interviewing Celine Dion, and he had no idea.
Oh, no.
And it was only when he asked about the Miami sound machine, she got a little bit confused and said, I think they're great. It's not really for me. And he said, really? And he thought he had this big scoop, like, Gloria Estefan, dismisses the Miami sound machine. It's like that's. And it's like, no, this was Celine. It was only at the end of it they realised, and it was rather embarrassing, but hilariously funny.
Did he own it, or did he try and style it out?
Oh, he had no idea until the interview was finished. He had no clue. Until it was over. And it was only until when the interview was over, and it was a live interview, so there was nothing he could do about it. So, at the end of it, there's a point where you can sort of talk to the production people, and usually the singers people as well, and you can talk to them. And someone just whispered in his ear, do you know who you were talking to? And he said, yeah, Gloria Estefan. He said, that was actually Celine Dion.
Oh, he's like, so cringe. Oh, I want to turn myself inside out right now. That is awful.
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, oftentimes these people do have, singers and actors, they all have to go on these press junkets and they have to sit there and listen to the same questions time and time again. Yeah. She was probably quite relieved to get something a bit different for a change.
It was a change, yes. Yeah. I don't know who you are.
Tell us about your Latin background, will you? What? Anyway, yes, I want to talk about something today because I have decided to get myself an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Yes, I did it. Yes.
What Stephen bought this week?
Yeah, this week.
We're going to talk about Stephen.
It's not. That's not really genuine because it wasn't this week. I bought it about a month ago and just forgot about it. Well, that's not true either. I just haven't had time to get into it.
Stop lying, Stephen. Tell the people what it's been used for.
Well, nothing at the minute. Nothing. Originally, I used it for WhatsApp. That's what we used it for at the beginning.
It was the WhatsApp phone.
It was the WhatsApp phone. And it seemed a little bit unfair to use Apple's top-end device to, basically use it as a WhatsApp phone. So, I've decided to use it as my main device. I'll tell you for why, because, one of the reasons, one thing we don't get a chance to play with the iPhone 16 is LiDAR. And I know a lot of people talk about LiDAR. I want to have a play again. I think it's time to dive back in and kind of give you guys a sense of how good it is or what I think about it. And I can't obviously do that with a 16. I know there's rumours of an SE, which may well be announced by the time this goes on air. Still no news as we record today.
Could happen.
I don't know. Some people saying today, they're all hanging off for this new beta of 18.4. You see, iOS 18.4 beta is due to drop. And it won't, and it hasn't dropped yet, but they're saying that will probably drop alongside the iPhone SE. So this is kind of where the rumours are all circulating from. But we shall see. Anyway,
absolutely
whatever happens.
No correlation whatsoever between the two, but
look,
okay.
I love the SE. I love the SE, and I think it's a great phone. But you know what? I've got the 16 Pro Max. I'm going to play with it. It is the top-end phone, so we'll see if there's any major differences between the 16 and this. And of course, I'm talking 16 and 16 Pro Max. So
yes,
essentially, you would argue the entry-level 16 and the top end 16. So
which is the 16. I'm going to say it, the bog standard 16 is the one that you're using as your personal driver.
Yeah. And I love it. It's a great little phone. It's never given me any issues, never stuttered, never stammered. I would expect it to, right? I mean, it's a great phone. What will the differences be, though? I mean, there are some differences. I know when you talk to the professionals about cameras and stuff, and the other mainstream tech shows will talk about the camera functionality. I'm frankly not interested in that, but I am interested in some of the cool audio editing functionalities that are in there. In the camera app, when you record something on the camera, you can almost siphon out all the different bits of audio, make your audio clearer, really kind of almost have a mixing console to play with. That sounds quite cool.
It does, as in, ooh, that sounds cool. I'm never actually going to use it.
Unless you do.
I kind of want to dismiss it like you're dismissing the camera functionalities on the pros, right? But at the same time, since we've been doing YouTube and we're finding we're recording bits of video here and there, actually, I can see us using that. I can see that being really useful.
Well, that's true, right? I mean, when we go out and we're recording video and we're doing stuff, then we absolutely want to be doing stuff, in the highest quality. So we want the best camera, and we do want to be trying stuff. And of course, the great thing is, look, we're putting it out there. We do have editors who are in the background who can see, keeping an eye on all the stuff we're doing, making sure that if there's packages or programs that are being put out that are outside of this norm that we do here on YouTube, for example, where we're, just sitting here side by side in boxes on the screen. I'm in my box. You're in your box.
Which side am I on?
Well, it depends, I suppose. You're left, my right, I suppose you would say.
Am I stage left?
You're stage left and I'm stage right, yeah.
Oh.
But on the screen, I'm left and you're right, so.
Okay. I'm not sure if I like
we
that.
should actually do, someone mentioned this to me recently, we should actually do like a description of how we do the YouTube thing, because a lot of people don't realise what maybe goes into the sort of back end of that. That'd be quite interesting for people. Would that interest you?
You let us know,
Yeah.
tappers. Get in touch. Would you like to know what's going on visually on the screen?
Would you like to know what's going on?
Description.
I'm sure today they'd love to know. But here's the thing.
We have said. Hang on. I mean,
Okay.
no, just wait. I
All
don't
right,
want to say
fine.
because wait. This is important because we did say when we were switching over to YouTube that it's always going to be audio first, right?
Yes.
So that's how we framed the show.
See what you did there, framed it.
Thank you very much.
good.
So
I want a jingle for that. Why have all these things, but I have nothing that goes...
Cookie Monster, that'll do. The point is...
Bye-bye.
Right,
You
fine.
ask, you get.
Yeah, okay. No, just carry on. I'm finished.
No, say what you want. Come on, say what you want. And hurry up.
Are people actually interested in maybe what happens when you're listening to an email for the YouTube viewers out there? What is on the screen, example, and the intro and outro? Is there a visual aspect to that? Would people be interested?
Yeah, well, let's find out. But anyway, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So I have a question.
I'm sorry.
I have a question to you, Double Tappers, because I want to know how you've set up your phone. I've decided on this one. I'm not rushing to make the switch over to it. I don't need to because I've got the iPhone 16 here. The one Apple very kindly sent me. But I also have a 16 Pro Max that I'm going to be moving to. So I'm taking my time to move over. And I'm setting it up from scratch this time.
You certainly are.
It's taken me a while.
Months.
Yeah. But I'm taking my time and I'm building up. And what I want to know from you is, how have you set yours up? Are you using folders? Are you laying it out a certain way? Are you using widgets? Do you have a setup per home screen? Because you can switch between different home screens. You can have multiple home screens on there. Do you use different apps? Do you have it sectioned so that all the audiobook stuff is in there and all the home stuff is in there and all the social media is on another? I want to know what you're doing with your phone. How are you laying it out?
Well, I want to know how you're doing yours right now, Stephen Scott.
Folders. That's what I have. Just endless folders.
Got to be folders. I'm sorry if you're not using folders. Then you're a bad person. There, I've said it.
Well, the problem is, it's trying to remember where things are in the folder, right? So I end up having to do the whole global search thing, which is fine. But yeah, I don't know. Siri and Spotlight can be a little bit fussy from time to time. You know you've got an app on your phone, but you just cannot find it. Or it gets buried amongst other links and stuff for website searches.
Do you use the app library?
I've never used it, no.
No. How about Spotlight?
Yeah, well, I use Spotlight all the time. That's how I find my apps. I used to use handwriting. I used to use the handwriting tool in the rotor on VoiceOver.
Wow, I just absolutely, totally forgot about the handwriting feature.
That's actually a pretty cool way to get to apps really quickly. But I've learned that I clearly have forgotten how to write, because most of the time I go, that was an I, and it's like, it's K. I'm like, it's not a K, so you have
Every time I pick up Sarah's phone, it drives me crazy. I showed her how to drag and drop and create folders. I think drag and drop was one of the features that were introduced into iOS 18, 17, I can't even remember now, that really made a difference and made it a lot easier for us screen reader users to organize the apps. I showed her how to do it. And now I pick up her phone and there's audiobooks folder. And then there's another one on the next page saying another audiobook folder or other audiobook folder. There's no organization there at all. You have no idea where anything is. I don't know how she does it.
She'll know, but the thing is, it is tricky after a while, because I realized by starting again how many apps I use. You think you don't. You think, I'm only ever in the same apps every day. But once you actually start thinking about it, especially when you think about smart home, you start thinking about all the attached apps related to that. You may have something for your home alarm system or, whatever it might be. And all of that is obviously, another app. So, I've what I did originally was I had my home screen, which I tried to have everything in that one home screen. So I didn't have to go between different screens. But if I did use the second screen, that was for the stuff that I never really went into, or for watch apps. You get the watch chat for WhatsApp. So that I would put in the second screen because I wouldn't actually open that for anything. So it just kind of keeps it out the way. Now, I think you can actually remove them now from the home screen. You don't actually have to have them up there.
You can hide anything. Right? Yeah. Yep, if you double tap and hold, you can hide. There is another way to get to it. I can't remember what it is now. But you can, reach that second context menu, and you can hide apps. You can
when you're
lock
deleting
apps,
it, right? When you're deleting it now, it'll give you the option to say remove from home screen or delete.
Yeah,
and that's
true.
pretty cool, actually. So that's good. I mean, I've got rid of a couple of the stock apps that come with it, like Books. Stocks is one of them, obviously, because I don't care. So
Stock apps.
Yeah, loads and loads of apps like that are on there, and so trying to kind of almost shrink this thing. I basically I'm doing to my iPhone what I did to my Windows PC when I reset it back up, which was take all that nonsense that comes with it away and just try and really trim back. I'll tell you what else I'm doing, and this is a conscious decision, is I am not putting social media apps on there, and I am not putting news apps on there either. I am going to use Tapestry for all my news and social media and podcast and YouTube feeds. Maybe not all podcasts, because I do like Castro. I do really like Castro as a podcast app. YouTube I'll have on there anyway, because I think it's, the key is to be able to access other channels, right? If you want to follow a specific channel, that's great on Tapestry.
No, you're absolutely right. But let's not forget, if you actually want to interact with any of those posts, you still need the third-party apps on there or the social apps on there. If you want to interact with Mastodon
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Or Thread, you still need that. When you double tap on it in Tapestry, it will open that app directly to that.
I see. Right. Well, I suppose I see Tapestry more as what it is, which is just a timeline feed. I'm not going to interact.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. It's almost a reference point rather than an interaction, which can be, of the problems we've been having with social media, just, dragging you in, sucking you in and not letting you go. It could be a good thing.
I've got to be honest, I've been saying it for a while, but it's been building and building and building, and I'm seeing other people say this now, which is interesting, is, there is a point, especially with news coverage, it is just relentless. And there's just so much, and it can really drag you down. Now, I remember, and I actually heard a newsreader say this on TikTok, I think it was yesterday, ironically, when I was on there. And they were talking about the fact that, being a newsreader, you do have to really curtail how much you take in of the day's news because you're dealing with it every day. Now, look, I did a news show for 9.5 years, and by the end of that 9.5 years, I never felt better coming away from that show. Not because I didn't love doing it, but because there was so much. You were so, in that world of the news. You had to be, because it was the job, right? I had to know what was going on.
Hang on, though.
Bit like this, right? But different, because this is tech, and I love this, and this does not bring me down at all. I feel great every day. Whereas with the news, different story.
Is that because the majority of the news is probably negative?
Oh, listen, I reported on
horrible
stories.
Half the
horrible
time. Yeah,
news.
exactly.
I covered news stories. I, had to deal with a lot of horrible news stories over my time. When you're in amongst it that way, it's intense. Now, look, it's becoming that way for people who consume it as well, because it is coming from everywhere, different angles, different viewpoints. You've got the right, you've got the left, everyone's got their own view, their own approach. You're getting it from every angle. It's, you can't go through a feed on X without some of that creeping its way in. You can unfollow as much as you like, but you're still going to get that content in there. And it's difficult, and it's hard to get away from, and you can end up sucked in. And I can see why people who, start off well-meaning with their thoughts and whatever, start getting, dragged down these rabbit holes.
Yes.
On YouTube or X or wherever it might be, or Facebook. And suddenly they end up, they almost feel trapped by it. And that's how I feel I was kind of going with social media, to the point where it was just, I don't know, there was no need to be on there. There was nothing I was getting out of it, but I would still sit there and just doom scroll. And it's not good. And you realize how much time you're wasting, how much time you're not talking to other human beings. You're just spending time staring at a device or listening to a device or however you're consuming it. It's just too much. So I want to create that feed a little bit and just really hone it. And I can now. Of course, I've said it before, you can do it with RSS, but Tapestry is a great way of, really, really doing that.
I
just
agree.
creating that feed. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm starting again. So I want your tips, guys. Tell me what you're doing with your iPhone. What's made a difference for you? What's made it more fun to use? What's made it easier to use? Widgets are always a bit of a question mark for me.
Never got into widgets. Never got into them.
Tried a couple. I tried the Castro one. Thought it was okay. But and it is okay. It does take, instant access to your queue, for example, of your podcasts that you want to listen to. That's quite good.
Yeah, but is it the case that you just need to get into the muscle memory of remembering the widget is there? Because I had folders on my first homepage, and on my second page, I would have widgets. So I had a button for Lady A. I could quickly ask a question. I had a button for just press record, so I could record something if I need to. It sounds like so convenient, so quick, and they worked well. I just always forgot they were there.
And you didn't use them. I actually find it's actually almost like I'm spreading it out a little bit now. So I'm saying, okay, so social media I'm going to do on my PC or my Mac or whatever, right? I'm going to do social media on that. And that's where I'll usually, send messages and reply to messages rather than trying to do it on the phone. Just giving up.
I agree. That. Yeah.
And I'll just read the feeds or read the general timeline, if you like, from there. If it's news, then okay, I've got my created feed on the phone. If it's, things like recording, I'd use my watch. I would just press record on my watch because I'm getting a great recording from the Series 10, or if you've got the Ultra, or to be honest, you can go back as far as the 7 or 6. You can get even the SE, the Watch SE, you can get an excellent recording
microphone
from.
Is great.
Yeah. So, for taking notes, I mean, that's what I'd be using it for. It is the best device. I see so many people now asking, what's a good dictaphone, a good talking dictaphone? And I'm like, if you've got an Apple Watch, stick it on Do Not Disturb. If you're in a classroom or you're in a lecture theatre, stick it on Do Not Disturb. If you're going to a meeting, stick it on Do Not Disturb. And you've got a recorder right there.
Yeah, of course. No, you're right. Of course, if you're in the Apple ecosystem. If you've got an Android phone, however.
Good luck. Yeah.
Nice and helpful, Stephen Scott. A little bit dismissive, I find, but
not at all.
Okay.
Anyway. Well, look, tell us. Get in touch. That's what we want to do. Listen, no app of the week this week because we have got a special episode coming up on Friday, and I'm so pleased. I can actually do it here. On Friday, we're going to, wait for it, Ask Mickey anything.
Oh, I actually forgot what was coming up Friday there. Sorry, you caught me on the hop.
Yeah, I just remembered it was happening, so I thought we'd better tell you. No, we've got the Ask Michael Anything. Michael Babcock back with us, answering your questions. We've been gathering them all that you've been sending in over the past few months, and we're putting them to Michael, and we're just going to keep doing that. Anytime we get a question that comes in from you that we think, that's a great question to just put into that show, the three of us get together and we just answer them. I know they're very popular. And you should definitely check out the previous episodes, which you can now do, by the way, on the thankfully updated website. The Double Tap website's a bit of a makeover, just a tiny one.
It's not broken anymore.
Well, it wasn't ever broken. It was just there were bits that were kind of needing
broken.
Slight. Let's just say a few screws had come loose. Let's just put it that way.
It was in a bit of a state.
Yeah, but it's all fixed now. So you'll now find a latest stories tray where you can get up to date with what's going on. Now, we're still building that, so give us some time. We'll get the stories up to date, but there's a lot of stuff in there you can go and check out right now. For example, top of the stories tray right now is Sarah Herlinger from Apple talking to us about the 40th anniversary of accessibility, which is this year. An incredible story that actually we're the only ones talking about. Nobody has talked about this yet. And it is an amazing story. Now, you can also check out our most popular section as well, where you can catch up with some of our most popular shows, including when we had Mike Shebenek with us talking about the real story of voiceover.
That was so cool.
It's a brilliant story. You can also catch the latest Ask Michael Anything episode in there as well, under most popular, all on the homepage of doubletaponair.com. Just hit H through the headings, and you can jump through all the different content, watch it, listen to it. It's all available via YouTube on there. But of course, remember, everything's on the podcast as well. And we'll continue to develop the site as we go along. But we're just adding new features as we go. And by the way, one shout out, because I know a lot of people have been talking about it. The Braille at 200 series is also featured on that front page. So you can go there and catch up with all the 5 episodes. If you've missed it or you didn't get a chance to listen to it, go back and listen. And the reason we're doing this for those regular double tappers out there is because so many people join us along the way. And there's so much content that has gone by. So we're trying to resurface some of that to say to you guys, look, here's some great stuff you can go and listen to. So go check it out. Now, of course, we broadcast here on AMI, Accessible Media Inc., and that is based in Canada, of course. We broadcast from Canada to the world. But a question I get a lot, Shaun, and it does come up from time to time because we don't talk about the network very often here because, well, we're on it. Why would we talk about it? Mm-hmm. But a lot of people tend to question and say, well, what is AMI? Well, here's the question answered from AMI themselves, okay?
Is communication. It's the way we share our thoughts, our opinions, our culture. From what we see on TV to what we post online, communication is the representation of who we are. But what about those who aren't being seen or heard? At AMI, we strive to be a voice for Canadians with disabilities through positive portrayal, reflection, and accessible media. We believe everyone should be included. AMI TV is inclusion. Experience now on amiplus.ca.
So that is AMI. Yes, we're a TV network. We're a radio network across Canada on AMI, on TV, I should say, across Canada. And of course, available in 2 languages, available in French and in English, AMI TV and AMI Tele. But the reason I mention this is because AMI are looking for you, especially if you're in Canada and indeed around the world. I'm sure they'd be interested to hear views from around the world as well. But certainly in Canada, AMI are looking for members of the disability community to join our AMI research panel here. Now, the research panel guides what happens at AMI with every decision that's made, including programming, media consumption, and accessibility. Now, participants are compensated for, especially for those long-form studies that they do. If you want to find out more and have your say, do visit ami.ca/panel. That's ami.ca/panel. We would love to hear from you. Hey guys, let's talk about Meta Ray-Bans because, Shaun, we haven't talked about them in, 5 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
6 minutes perhaps. Let's welcome in our guest of the day. Robert Scoble is with us. He is the host of Unaligned. Good to have you here with us on Double Tap, Robert.
Hey, glad to be here.
Yeah, listen, great to have you here. Tell us first off, for those who don't know, what is Unaligned? Sounds good.
It's my media company. I interview entrepreneurs in the AI space. So I put up videos. So I do the same kind of thing you guys are doing.
Yeah, you're doing it with professional people. I mean, you're professional, so we get a chance to talk to you. Oh, stop it. Listen, let's talk about Meta.
Once in a while, I get somebody interesting on.
Wow. Well, let's hope they're not watching this. So, listen, let's talk Meta because obviously the big news is that they've sold over 1 million pairs of its smart glasses. This coming out in a call with Mark Zuckerberg, giving away the number. First time they've really done that with the sales figures, possibly hoping to reach 5 million by the end of this year. Tell us what you've been reading about this, what you know about this, and what the impact has been of Meta Ray-Ban on this wider public.
It's the AI wearable or hardware that really is stuck with everyday people around me. I see a lot of people wearing them and they like using them. They love the multimodality, so you can look at something and ask, for more information. If you're walking around a museum or something like that, and you're looking at a Picasso, you can ask it for more information on what you're looking at, right? And people really like that. They also like the speakers because they're not like AirPod Pros where it blocks the real world from your ears. It lets that come in and it mixes the digital audio in with the real world audio, and people like that for doing calls and stuff like that.
Do you think it's difficult for us to sort of understand the mainstream appeal quite as much as it does, for us, because using it to tell me what's in front of me is incredibly useful, right? And using the camera to make a video call with someone who can help me, not walk into the car on the sidewalk is great. But for the mainstream, I'm kind of thinking, they look the Picasso example and, looking at a landmark and tell me more about this all sounds cool and it's great for adverts and marketing. It's what we always see at keynotes, what's the temperature, is it going to rain and things. But does it really take off? I mean, that million number, I was really shocked at that. I mean, could it have anything to do with it? It's just, it's Ray-Ban. The designer name sort of helps.
It certainly doesn't hurt, right? First of all, they look stylish, right? It doesn't look like a dorky device. I mean, I have an Apple Vision Pro, and that does a lot more, but it's big and heavy and very expensive. I mean, these are only a few $100s, where the Vision Pro is $3,500. So it's not a purchase for very many people that very many people are going to make. So, yeah, I think there's something to that is a Ray-Ban and it's a cool tech product. And I'm sure somebody bought it for that purpose. But it is actually pretty useful, whether or not you can see the real world with your eyes. Right? So,
yes, yeah, no, it's interesting though. It always does fascinate me because, like Shaun, I'm like, okay, what do the mainstream get out of this? And I'm calling you the mainstream, and I don't mean to do it that way, but I have to
that's the first time in my career that I've been called mainstream. I'm usually called an outlier or early adopter or something like that, right?
But you get my point, right? It's like, for people who are not disabled, essentially, what is it in it for you? And, for us, it's like we look at these things as devices that can help us. I mean, you might have heard about the partnership that Meta has done with Be My Eyes, a volunteer network of millions of people who are coming together to help blind people every day. And that's a great use case for us. It's a great reason to buy them. But from your point of view, they're just great headphones or great earbuds when you're out and about, right?
And great camera. The camera's not the best camera you'll ever see, but it's pretty good, and it's always on your face. And if you have kids and they start doing something cute, your camera's right there ready to go, and you can play with them with your hands and be shooting video of them. So I hear that a lot, that people love the camera. If you're going skiing or something like that, you can turn on the camera and shoot it from your point of view. I wore Google Glass for a year every day, and that was the thing I bought the Google Glass for, was to have a camera on my face all the time. In fact, that's one thing I do with the Vision Pro even. It has 6 cameras on the front of it, and it's really an amazing camera to shoot with, particularly like today I'm going to Jeremiah Ouyang's AI event in San Francisco, and I'll be bringing the Vision Pro because I can walk around and have my hands free and be talking to people like I normally do, but I can shoot the video from my point of view, and the viewer is in my head and seeing my point of view, and I don't have to hold something or steady something. It's just I just look at them and talk, and it's quite unique camera. I mean, it's sort of funny that people are like, "Oh, it's so expensive." Well, my first TV camera cost $110,000 and had tubes in it and sat on a tripod, right? So $3,500 for a cool camera is,
not that bad.
I mean, it's painful, but it's not outrageous like my first camera was.
There is a lot of crossover here because I remember, Stephen, you got the Ray-Bans before I did, and that's the first thing you said. You know what? I'm actually taking photo and video again. Yeah. Because obviously, using a viewfinder for us, out of the question, right? There's the camera apps on the iPhone and Android, they all have accessibility features, so it can help you frame up something. And it's all great and fantastic. But the point is that with the Meta Ray-Bans, you just tell it to record, and yes, there is a time limit there. But, as long as you've got your head or face pointing in the general direction, you're going to capture it. And I find that a lot of people, in our community, blind people, are using it. And for the first time, actually, I'm going to take some video. And I know it's going to be, it's not going to be perfectly framed. It never is. But I know that what I'm trying to capture is going to be captured. So there's definite overlap between the disabled people and the mainstream there.
Yeah, I agree. It's having a camera on your face is really, really useful. Like I said, if your kid starts walking in front of you, well, where's your camera? Oh, did you leave it in the bedroom? Did you leave your iPhone in the bedroom or something like that? Mm-hmm. Oh shit, you just lost the moment, right? And having your camera right there and being able to turn it on instantly is really cool.
And no privacy concerns for you, because this was a big issue when these were starting to come out, right? Was you're walking around with a camera in your face,
I'm a
especially
public
with kids,
figure.
Right?
I'm a public figure. I have no privacy. All the large language models, and there's a large language model running on inside in the phone, close to your glasses, that's talking to you, right? That's the technology that's actually talking with you and telling you what you're seeing. I'm built into that large language model in a pretty deep way. It read my blog. I had a famous blog in Silicon Valley for a long time, and it read all my blogs to build the model. So I have no privacy.
It knows you.
But It's quite a claim.
It is a concern. I mean, with these technologies, with wearing a camera and with a multimodal model, it knows everything you're looking at. So it does bring up a new kind of privacy problem. Like, oh, geez, it's going to these things in theory and coming soon are going to be able to map out your entire home and know everything about where you left things. Where did you leave your keys, or where's your Coke can, or whatever.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
No, are you like me? Because I just, you know what? I don't care. Honestly, don't care. If it gives me the features, the service, the convenience that I want, take whatever you want. I don't care about my privacy, but I know there's lots of people. I honestly don't. Hey, do you think Google are giving me all these free services just because they're really nice people? No,
Yes.
of course not.
They have all my data. They have my email.
They have everything. I want to talk about what's coming down the line with Meta, because, of course, we had recently about this Oakley partnership, which kind of continues on because Oakley, I believe, is part of the same company, isn't it, of Ray-Ban?
Yeah, it's part of Essilor Luxottica. Essilor is the parent company. Luxottica is the division, and then Oakley is the R&D division. Is where they do the R&D. So actually, the Ray-Bans were designed at Oakley, and people don't know that, but that's where they designed their glasses. There are Ray-Ban brand glasses, and so doing something with Oakley makes sense. I just visited the optics show in San Francisco, SPIE, and I interviewed Loomis, who makes the waveguides for future glasses. So let's back up. Waveguides are like a piece of glass that sits in front of your eye, and there's a little tiny projector that shoves light into this glass, and the glass has lots of mirrors that reflect that image into your eye, so you see a TV in front of you. And the Loomis company had the best optics at SPIE's show here in San Francisco, and I put up a video interview with them, and they're coming along pretty nicely. So you can sort of predict, sometime in the next 18 months, somebody like Meta will have a pair of glasses with a display along with all the other things, a microphone and a large language model that's doing your multimodality, you're telling you about the Picasso you're looking at and stuff like that.
And look, I'll be honest with you, Robert, as blind people, we don't particularly care about the screen on the glasses. We want the cameras, we want the audio, we want the microphone. So we've got what we want. But there is a lot of people out there. Well, no, in fairness, there's a lot of blind people out there who have low vision, right? They're not all blind people. And obviously the mainstream, that's you, Robert. But what about
there's
you?
a lot of low vision people that can't see like in the middle of where their eye is, right? They can see on the outside.
Yep.
Well, using a display, you can spread the information you're trying to see out from where you can't see to where you can see. So it improves your vision that way. So a display might help a lot of people with not complete blindness, but some partial blindness, right? Or some vision problems there. But I mean, it can zoom in on a newspaper or a book that you're trying to read, right? And make it easier to read text for people.
Which is huge.
So there's uses for displays.
Absolutely.
But for those of us who still can see, we need displays because we that's how the computer is going to communicate with us, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, talk to us about Orion and Hypernova, these names that are starting to come out. Tell us what that means for the industry.
Orion is a waveguide made with silicon carbide, so it's a very expensive material, and that's why it's a prototype right now, because it's very hard to manufacture at millions of scale, and it's expensive. They haven't been able to figure out how to get the cost down. They're working on that, but it gives you a much brighter image, a much less reflections around the image. So it's starting to fix some of the problems with the displays, because even the Loomis has a beautiful TV, but it has a lot of reflections around it. And it's sort of distracting, and right, it's not perfect. And so they're spending a lot of money in R&D to try to get a virtual display in front of you that's perfect, right? And we're not quite there yet.
Yes, do you think almost like the smart glasses that we currently have are almost a stopgap? You mentioned, that's what we want because that's how the computer is going to communicate with us is visually. Of course it is. So do you think people are waiting until we want that sunglasses form factor, but we want the display built in? And so far, I don't think anything's come particularly close to looking like a normal pair of sunglasses.
Well, there are some. Okay, so there's three categories of wearables on your face, right? There's the lightweights, which are like the sunglasses. I went to Consumer Electronics Show a couple weeks ago and looked at a bunch of them. The Even Realities is the one that looks like a normal pair of glasses. It has two green and black displays in front of you. So it's not a full color display. You can't watch CNN on it, right? Or something like that. Fox News for those who like that.
Yeah, all balanced.
Moving on.
Yes. Or whatever, Netflix. but it's they are very, very attractive. They're lightweight. They look like a normal pair of glasses. They do have, even Realities doesn't have a camera, so it can't do the Ray-Bans, right? So it's like, do you get camera? Do you get a display? For the blind community, you want to be biased towards camera because you need to you need the device to be able to tell you what you're looking at, right? If somebody's handing you a $2 bill and they're handing you a 20, you need to know that, right? But anyways, there's a whole bunch of ones. There are some with camera and a green and black display in like one eye, because they're trying to save battery or save cost. Because these things, they're trying to get down to about a $300-$400 price point of the lightweight glasses, so that everyday people can buy them. Then there's the medium weights. These have a thicker display, like technically it's called a birdbath display, and I'm thinking of X-Real. This is a 1/4 inch thick display instead of just a real thin piece of glass. A 1/16 of an inch thick display, which is what it's in the waveguides or the Even Realities ones. But it gives you a full color display, and they're about $700 to $800. So if you want a big TV in front of you or you want to work in them, that's good. And then there's the heavyweights like the Vision Pro and the Quest 3, which give you full immersion, almost a wraparound screen in front of you, so you can do really amazing augmented reality and be working on multiple monitors around you or whatever you're going to put around you. Those are really great for people like me, but they are heavy and they're expensive, or more expensive than the other glasses. So that's sort of the breakdown right now. The thing that's coming from Loomis, these newer waveguides are going to show up in products probably in a year at the ultra lightweight side, which will give you a color display. And so next year you'll see glasses that have a color display and a camera and microphones and an AI computer inside. Right?
That's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's developing at some speed. I want to talk a little bit about Apple because, I kind of hoped when Apple announced what became Vision Pro that it was going to be a pair of glasses. Instead, it was that VR-style headset. And, I just wonder, where we were going with this, and I want to ask you, do you think Apple's lost its way here with this product, or do you think
they're just slow because they know the market's not ready for it, they had to get something in the hands of developers so that developers could build software for future pairs of glasses or future devices. It's really an amazing device. I mean, you go to the Apple Store and put it on, and you see your hands in front of you, and you see the store around you. Well, you're not seeing that at all. You're seeing a mixed reality world. I call it a holodeck. You're looking at two Sony 5K chips, right? You're not looking at reality at all. It's presenting what looks like reality to you digitally, and that's real interesting for a lot of things, like controlling a robot or watching a movie or playing a new kind of video game. These are pretty mind-blowing devices, but they do come with a cost of being heavy. Now, Apple Apple has like the next decade all planned out. This is sort of how big companies, and they know they're going to do glasses at some point. There was a lot of rumors that they give up on glasses. That's not true. I talked to the team and they said, no. They killed one team that was working on one kind of glasses because that just wasn't going to work. And that's what big companies do. I worked at Microsoft, and they would have 3 teams all trying to do the same thing. They might not even know about each other, right? So Bill Gates would fire up 3 different teams trying to do something to see who would actually get the best technology out. And then he would pick that team and kill the other 2 teams, and you would never really hear about it. And same thing is happening here. I mean, in 5 years, I assume Apple and Google and Meta and who else? Snap and a few others will have glasses. Samsung with Google and all that. There'll be a bunch of glasses over the next few years coming out. So I'm not worried about Apple. They're a big, boring company now, and that's,
you can't say that.
I can. I was Apple's first child laborer back in 1978. So I can say that, it's a big, boring company. It's not like Tesla, where it's changing a lot, and and has a charismatic leader. Tim Cook is not somebody I look to as charismatic.
Sometimes that can get you in trouble. That's the only thing.
It certainly can.
Yeah, there have been examples.
I think you're right, though. I think Apple had to, almost lay down the foundation of where developers were looking to go. I mean, you could argue they did it way before that, years before, with the augmented reality SDKs, right? When they were doing the iPad, the gaming on the tabletop, which was absolutely amazing at the time. But
I wrote 2 books on spatial computing. The Infinite Retina was the last one. We wrote that 4 or 5 years ago, and that was before Apple came out. The reason I was able to write all these books is I was going around to R&D labs and talking to entrepreneurs who are building weird ass 3D sensors and stuff like that, and they kept getting bought by Apple, and that was over the last 12 years. I mean, it took a long time for the Vision Pro to come out, even after I caught on wind that they had patents and that they were building a product and building teams by buying companies. There was a lot of work that went into that. So
I want to go back to this point, though, because, I hear what you're saying about the glasses side of it, because I guess the question is, do you think that Apple are going to develop a pair of traditional glasses that will sort of rival the Meta Ray-Bans? And do you think they would abandon Vision Pro to do that?
For the next decade, I think you're going to still have 2 devices, because the 4K chips that you can buy for a VR headset right now, the displays are just better than the displays you can put on a small pair of glasses. And like the waveguides that I saw at SPIE have a 30-degree field of view, which is if you're standing in front of a MacBook Pro, for instance, and you look at that monitor, it's a little bit bigger than that, 30 degrees. The Apple Vision Pro has 90 degrees, so it's like a big wraparound TV on your desk, right? And much better for working or being immersed or watching a movie. Or playing a video game kind of thing. And so I think you're going to still see a heavyweight category and a lightweight category in these wearable devices for a long time, because there's some advantages to having a big, heavy device that has a lot of computer in it for doing all sorts of crazy video gaming and stuff like that, and having these really nice 4K displays. Now, the displays in the Vision Pro are very different than a display like in the Even Realities glasses or the Meta, the Loomis glasses. The Loomis, the waveguide glasses, you can see through to the real world, right? So you're seeing the analog real world through them. The Vision Pro, if the battery goes off, you're in blackness. You can't see anything.
Right.
Right? Yeah, we join your world, but we're not seeing any of the real world. What it's doing is digitally representing, showing us a representation of the real world that looks pretty close to the real world. But you're looking at two Sony chips. You're not looking at the real world at all. And there's advantages to that approach because you can control everything. Right, you can make a movie really black, really colorful, really bright, and you can see in bright sunlight, right, and stuff like that. The glasses have a lot of problems with, like, if you're trying to read something in bright sunlight, it's going to be pretty hard because the bright sunlight's going through the glass into your eyes, and it's trying to lay over a digital layer on that. It's not perfect for everything, right? So I think you're going to continue seeing a lightweight version of glasses and a heavyweight for different things.
You mentioned the Vision Pros that you have. Do you actually use them, let's say, productively?
Yeah. It's really cool. You can AirPlay a Macintosh screen into it, and you get this big, huge screen, much bigger than any of the screens I have in my house. And I have like an 83-inch Sony TV, right? That's cool. But the Vision Pro, the TV is as big as my entire wall. Right.
That's amazing.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What about beyond?
Or like if you're traveling and, going in an airplane, the TV on the seat back in front of you is a little like 10-inch display, right? My TV is the entire plane, right? So,
yeah. What about beyond glasses? I mean, do you see, there's lots of ideas, rings, lots of cool stuff, right? That people are talking about.
A ring.
Yeah. I mean, is that real? Is that something that is going to, I mean, is that a useful, functional device?
There's a bunch of them. Friend and Humane has a little pin that has a camera with a little projector in it.
Oh, we don't talk
that you
about
can
that.
talk to.
That didn't go so well, right?
You can't see the projector.
well, I mean, there's other
like
issues
I said,
as well,
if you're blind, why pay for a display? But I need a display. But there's a whole bunch of these, and they work okay. It's really useful to have as like a little AI assistant. But the people who have the Ray-Bans have that. I think this is why the Ray-Bans are interesting. The eyeglass form factor is just the right form factor because it's, for instance, I have to wear glasses. If I take off my glasses, you all are blurry.
Yeah.
So, right. Reality to me is blurry. Right. So that's why one reason I'm attracted to this field because this makes reality better for me. Right. It improves reality for me. But anyways, if I have to wear glasses, might as well wear a computer glasses that has a microphone and a computer inside, right? That I can talk to and a camera. Gives me more utility than my glasses that I'm currently wearing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why the Ray-Bans are doing real well because it's the right form factor. Getting people to wear a pendant or a pin or something like that, that's just not. It's not a normal behavior in society yet. And so you have to teach people to do that instead of glasses are a normal thing, right? 60% of us have to wear glasses. So putting on a Ray-Ban glasses is, not much different than these glasses that I'm currently wearing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Unaligned.io is where we'll find more about you and, of course, subscribe to your newsletter as well. How else can people find you, Robert, if they want to check you out?
I'm on X. I'm always on X. I'm following 26,000 people in the AI community. I've built a bunch of lists of 26,000 people and 6,000 companies on X, so you can watch my list and join in the fun and watch the world go by.
Amazing.
I use X Pro, so I can see 10 different lists on my screen at one time, and so I can watch. Literally, I'm watching it right now. The world is just going by.
It's the new coffee shop, right? It's quite amazing. Virtual town square, as they say. Robert Scoble, thank you so much for coming on today. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert.
It's an honor to be on. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
What a great guy. Great to have Robert Scoble on the show with us. And can't wait to hear your thoughts on all of this because, of course, the debate around wearables continues in the blind community, right? The question is, what's the right form factor for us? What works for us? And, is it glasses for some people? And there's big debate about that. Of course, we heard yesterday all about CapX. And, that's, I guess, a slightly different way of looking at it. But anyway, look, before we go, because we've got a bit of time left, I want to...
What Stephen bought this week?
Just in.
More?
I mean, this is more... Actually, I should do this.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
No, it's not the Apple. It's not the Apple event. Sorry, it's not the Apple thing.
Is it the SE?
No, sadly not.
Oh.
It is, however, a product I just bought, and it's just arrived here. Now, I bought this at launch, on launch day. I think it launched Thursday or Friday last week, and I ordered it straight away. This is the Sateki USB hub for the new Mac Mini. Now, Apple already do this. Sateki, I should say, already do this. They have one for the original Mac Mini, or the previously designed Mac Mini. Mac Mini, flatter, pancake style. But this one, it has 3 USB-A ports in it and an SD card slot, and you connect it directly to your device via the USB ports. So you gain an additional 3 USB-A ports, which is kind of cool. So I do like that.
And where's the power button?
Where's the power button? The power button is... Well, actually, I think it does have some way of making the power button easier to get to. I don't know if it has a physical power button on it. I haven't opened up yet because it's just literally arrived. Just in the box right now. So
live unboxing tomorrow.
Well, maybe. You know what I'm like. A couple of months' time. Yeah. Listen, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed the conversations. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. We'll await the news from Apple, see if there is any by tomorrow.
We're waiting, Apple.
Either way, we have tons of feedback to get into. That's what we're focusing on tomorrow. We'll catch you then. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.